What's up, guys? This is the Board Game Roamer. I'm going to do a solo playthrough of Fate of the Elder Gods. This is a game by Greater Than Games and was actually released at Gen Con this year. I think, don't quote me on this, but I believe they sold out of Fate of the Elder Gods. Also, I have the expansion, which has not been released yet, called Beasts from Beyond. This adds some monsters potentially that you can summon with your spells that give you some special abilities and can really mess with other players and do some special things on the board. Like I said, I'm playing solo. I'm going to play yellow as my color. I'm not going to spend a lot of time telling you how the mechanics of the game works. There are several videos that show that by Great in the Games that do a much better job than I could. But I will try to kind of walk you through what I'm doing as we play. So I've already set up the board for solo setup. It's the same as regular multiplayer setup. At each of the 6 locations, you're going to put 1 cultist and 1 investigator. You're going to take your fate piece. I have chosen to use the gray Cthulhu as my fate piece, and you place it in the Other Worlds location, and the green Cthulhu is the AI's fate piece, and it goes to the Streets of Arkham. Like I said, I've already seeded the board, so I've put 1 spell card at each location to start the astral columns, and I've put the wild cards here at the ceremony so I don't forget. I already have 2 artifacts out. The Wizard's Grimoire, which increases my minimum hand size from 3 to 5, and the Silk Shroud of Aklach-Nacha. I exhaust it to move 1 investigator being placed on your lodge to any location instead, or I can destroy it and return to the supply up to 2 investigators from my lodge. That's the 2 abilities. I've got 7 of my lodge members. There's 7 in the Abyss. I have one ahead out here. Normally you wouldn't have the investigators out here in the Abyss in the center, but it's just easier for me to put them there to draw them from the supply, so I've gone ahead and done that. And the Elder God that I've decided to play is Yig. His dark gift ability is Carpet of Serpents. Choose any 1 location. Roll 5 dice for each tentacle or Cthulhu. You roll, return 1 cultist to its lodge for each Elder sign. Move 1 investigator to another location. So that's what I'm playing. Just a note about the cards. There are a lot of cards in this, in spell cards and even abilities of the beast, that really lend themselves more towards multiplayer and having multiple Elder Gods and multiple lodges. I actually posted on BGG a question to the creators and asked if there like a set list of cards that we should remove, and they said no, leave them all in there. Basically, those cards that allow you to target another cult are just there as a way to have symbols to move around the board, and it makes it a little bit harder in solo mode to give you a little bit more of a challenge. So, as if the game was not challenging enough, that should be fun. Over here to the side, I've got my spell deck over here, kind of off to the side, and I've got the 10 Elder Signs for the summoning track if those do get placed. With the way this works is if my summoning track has 10 Elder Signs, then the game ends. In the solo game, if I draw a curse card, then if I have 5 curse cards, then I also lose. So that's how that works. Otherwise, it's exactly the same as the multiplayer game. I'm trying to get all the points to summon my Elder God. And if I do that before I have all the Elder Signs, then I will win. I've already given myself 3 spell cards, and I've got 1 white and 2 greens. I'm not going to call them by their names because I can never remember their comment, Blood Moon. Yeah, I don't remember all the other, so we're just going to go with colors. 3 spells. Alhazredra Vengeance. That actually, I don't know if I'm going to be able to use that. That targets another cult. Swap one of your Mind Switch. I can use that because that lets me move some of my cultists around. And I got Corruption, which is the other green card to destroy Elder Signs from my lodge if I sacrifice some cultists. But I become cursed, so last ditch effort, probably mostly just to move around the board. So that's how that goes. And I believe... yes, okay. Just making sure I got everything set up right. Gain 2 to Elder Signs has been sealed away. Yeah, okay. So that's where we're at. So I get to go first. So let's just jump in. So I think first thing I'm gonna do, I am going to play a green card. I'm gonna play a green card to go to the Gathering. So I'm gonna play that down. Now, normally in the astral columns, we put these, kind of spread them out over here, but I know it's gonna be kind of hard to see, and I kind of have a finite amount of table space, so I may end up kind of stacking these, but I'll tell you what's in the column once I get there, if I have to start stacking them. So I'm gonna move my Fate piece from the Other Worlds to the Gathering. That's first go. And anytime we move our Fate piece, we have to take one cultist and place it at that location, and one investigator is placed in that location. Again, the investigators normally are not in the Abyss. It's just easier to put them here, so I have them close to the supply instead of having to have a box off to the side and all that. I do not have control, so I'm going to roll for control. Temporary control. I do not get temporary control. I needed a Cthulhu to get temporary control, because I do not. Control is 3 cultists, 3 or more cultists, and more than any other cult. So I mean, in this case, I've only got just me. So if I have 3 or more, I have control, but there's only 2 there. The Gathering, it lets me gain 3 from the Abyss, which is 3 to my lodge, which is good, and then I can move 1 to another location. I also have over here to the side, each player has a turn order card. Very, very handy, front and back, and it shows you some of the symbols and gives you some information on how to activate in the turn order. A few helpful definitions, and then I have another card that tells you what to do at each location, and it also tells you what control does at each location, which is extremely handy, because what necessarily happens for controlling the location is not on the board, just the normal action. So at the Gathering, assuming that I had gain control, I can move any number of my cultists from the Gathering to any other location as opposed to just 1. So that's a good way to move some to the Other Worlds. So I gained 3, and I'm going to put 1 in the Other World. So that's cool. So that's my 3. I'm not going to be able to readying spells. So readying spells, each card has a anywhere from 2 to 3. I believe it's only 2 to 3. I don't think there's any 4s or 1s. The 2 to 3 symbols, and you have to have those symbols to ready it. You can have up to 3 spells readied, assuming you don't have something else like artifact that lets you have more than that. And the way that you use the spells, the way that you ready the spell, is anything in the astral column. That's this right here, right? So here where my Fate piece is at in this column. Any of those symbols that show, I can use to ready it, and any of the symbol that's actually at the location. So in this instance, I technically have red and green because my Fate piece is on the green and there is a red there. Also, if you have any spells ready, the symbols that are showing over here in your readied spell area count as symbols that you can use as well. If you opt to cast a spell using any card in the astral column at your location, the entirety of the astral column is discarded over to a discard pile for the spell deck, and then once the spell deck runs out, your discard pile is shuffled and becomes your new spell deck. So that's how that works. I cannot cast any spells, and there's not really anything I wanted to cast right now. Anyway, you're ready. So you have a minimum of 3 cards in your hand at the end of your turn. Right now I have 2 cards, so I have to draw 1 card, and that ends my turn. The card that I drew is another green card. It's move up to 2 investigators from any one location or lodge to any lodges. So that's a good example. That's a card that's not really going to help me in solo. That's really one more for multiplayer, but we leave it in there so we've got some ways to move around, and it balances out all the different locations, symbols in the deck, because if we started taking some of those out, it would get a little off balance. So that's why they said to leave it in there. I hope that in the future they'll come up with some specific solo rules that'll do something to make it keep it balanced, but maybe get some of these cards out that will help you. But it's still fun either way, so I'm cool with that. So that is the end of my turn. So I've drawn up to 3. Set these over here for now. So the way the AI works in solo is whatever symbol is on the top of the spell deck is the location that it's going to move to. So in this case, because it's the white symbol, we're going to place this card at the Streets of Arkham, move the fate piece to the ceremony, and wherever the location is, we drop an investigator there. So we'll add an investigator, and that is the entirety of the turn for the AI. So basically the AI's job in solo is they're populating locations, getting more investigators there to perform raids, and unless they go to the Streets of Arkham, and then there's a couple special things that happen there. So that's their turn. So then it comes back to me. Again, I have so I cannot move to the white, and I'm at the green, and I have to move. If I can move, if I can possibly move in some way, I have to do it. So I can't go to the white. I can't stay where I'm at. But I actually happen to have 2 symbols of the same type. I can play both of those symbols and move to any location I wish. So what to do? I think I'm going to I think I'm going to play these 2 green cards and move to the museum. So I'll place the 2 green cards at the gathering. I'm going to move to the museum. I'm going to take a cultist from my lodge, place it there, an investigator from my lodge, and place it there. So when I go to the museum has artifacts. I can pick an artifact and get that artifact. I also can roll for control. I do not have control. If I do gain control, I can discard and replace the artifact, and sacrifice up to 3 cultists from the museum, and destroy an elder sign from any lodge for each sacrifice that I make. So the museum is a place to get an artifact, or I can wipe out all the artifacts and get rid of elder signs. So that's always good. But in this case, I actually want to take one of the artifacts. So I'm going to take the Wizard's Grimoire, which is going to make my minimum hand size 5. So at the end of my turn, instead of having to check to see if I have 3 cards in my hand, now I have to have 5. So I'm going to be drawing more spell cards off the deck, hopefully to get me some better spells and some more options to move around the board where I want to move around the board. And that is my turn. At the museum, that is the blue symbol, and there's also another blue symbol in the astral column. I cannot ready any spells. So that is the end of my turn. So I have 1 card in my hand. I draw 4 more cards because I need 5 now instead of 3. I get a green, a white, a red, and a blue. So now I have 2 whites, a green, a red, and a blue. So that is the end of my turn. it will be the Ais Turn. The symbol on the card at the top is the green, so I will put that at the ceremony. The ceremony now has a yellow and 2 greens. I will move the fate piece to the ceremony, to the gathering, which is the green. I will place an investigator. Now, at this location, there are 3 investigators, and what that means is that if I move to that location, those investigators are going to go straight into my lodge. If I ever have 5 or more investigators in my lodge, it immediately triggers a raid, and that is how you get the Elder Signs on your track. So, that is what it is, and that is all the AI can do. So it is back to me, and I have to decide where I want to move to. I really wish so what I'm looking at is I'm kind of trying to figure out where I could go to ready a spell. I've got a red spell called Alter Fate. It says either reroll up to 3 of your dice once or 1 of your dice up to 3 times. I think that could come in handy. And I need a white and a yellow, both of which are in the streets of Arkham. So I think I'm going to use 2 white symbols because I do not have a yellow. I'm going to use 2 white symbols and place them at the museum. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to. Whenever you take a artifact from the museum, you replace it, and what comes out is a jade statuette, a jade statue. Destroy if you are at the other worlds. Reroll up to 2 of your dice. So you could potentially have more, a little bit more summoning in the other worlds. So I'm going to play those two. I'm going to go to the streets of Arkham now. Normally, and we're going to go ahead and do this. We're going to place our cultist and our investigator. Normally at the streets of Arkham, you give 2 investigators to whoever you want to give them to and initiate a raid. But in the solo mode, Streets of Arkham works different. Let's see, the Streets of Arkham, I'll just read it to you. The Streets of Arkham, the investigators never perform location actions. So, but if they do land on the Streets of Arkham, a raid occurs immediately. In addition, when you perform, aka the player, perform the Streets of Arkham location action on your turn, return 2 investigators from your lodge back to the supply. Having control of the Streets of Arkham allows you to sacrifice 1 of your cultists from the Streets of Arkham to remove 1 additional investigator from your lodge. If you control it, which means you have at least 3 cultists and more cultists than investigators, instead of performing, and this is again in the solo, instead of performing the location's control action, I can gain 3 Elder Signs to destroy a curse. That's just a way to get rid of those curse cards if you need to. But so what I'm saying is, when you go to the Streets of Arkham, you don't have to get investigators, and the raid doesn't happen in solo. So that's where we're at. But remember, I went there to ready a spell, so I can also ready a spell, 1 spell per turn. And I am going to ready the spell. Normally we would not reveal it, we'd lay it face down. But since it's solo, I'm going to use Alter Fate, which says, there it is, either reroll up to 3 of your dice once or 1 of your die 3 times. So I'm going to place that on the top of my board here. So what that means now is, in addition to whatever location my fate piece is at and the cards in the astral column, I have an additional red symbol to use to ready a spell. All right, and that's going to sit there until I decide to trigger it and play it, or at any point in time, if I could choose to discard it, or because maybe if I decide I've got 3 and have 1 that I would really, really like more than one of the others, I can discard that. So since I use the symbols at the astral, the location. I'm going to take them out of the astral column, place them in the discard by the ready spell deck, and that is going to end my turn. And I have 2 cards, and I'm going to draw 3. See, draw 3 cards. I draw 2 whites and a red. Now, one of the cool things is I actually got Call of the Wicked Ones, which is the card that you can use to summon a beast from beyond. So that requires a yellow and 2 reds, which is not possible anywhere currently. So yeah, but that's alright, we may get to it at some point. And that is the end. Yeah, that's the end of my turn. Place those there. The fate piece for AI is going to go to the white. That is the ceremony. Place that in the astral column at the gathering, the green. Move the fate piece to the ceremony. Place an investigator there. There are now 3 investigators there as well. So, yikes, that means the gathering of the ceremony. Now if I go there, those are coming to my lodge. Bad news bears for me. Alright. What to do. Unfortunately, I only have 2 cultists in the other world. I would really... I do have a green card. I am a U.S. citizen too. I do have a green card to go to the gathering. I could do that. Potentially. Or do I want to go somewhere else? That's really not going to help me with what I want to do. I really want to get to the other worlds. But at the same time, I need to get to the ceremony to get one of those wild cards. Alright, well, if I go to the gathering though, I'm gonna grab 3 investigators. That's not gonna be good. Ay chihuahua. What to do. Okay, I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. Here, I see. Here's what I'm gonna do. Hoping this works out. I'm gonna go to the red location, which is the library. So I'm gonna place this here, and I'm gonna move my fate piece from the Streets of Arkham to the library. Take one of my cultists, place it on the library, move an investigator there. I do not have control, so the control ability for the library is you get to ready a spell for free. So if I can manage to gain control, I can prep this spell to summon oh man, I don't know if I want to summon a beast, or there's Enlighten the Faithful. It says at the end of your turn you may move up to 3 of your cultists from any one location to any other location or locations. So I could actually pile up the other worlds, and then the next time I get a chance to go there, have a bunch of dice to roll for the summoning. Alright, well, it's not going to matter. Let's just see if I get control. And I do not get control. So, I gain 3 spell cards. So I'm going to draw 1, 2, and 3. So I get an Ancient Stirring, 2 Ancient Stirrings. Both, one is 3 greens, one is 3 reds. Advance 1 on your summon track. You may sacrifice one of your cultists at the current altar location to advance one more on your summoning track. And then I got Mind Switch, swap one of your cultists from any one location with any other cultist at a different location. Again, that card would be really more for multiplayer. That's not going to help me. I'd just be swapping my own pieces on the board. So I cannot ready any spells. I have a red, a blue. I have 2 reds and a blue. And that's not going to let me potentially play anything, ready any spells. So I have to discard down to 5. I have 7 cards. So let's get rid of the swap card. That's 1. I'll set them right here for now. And those are good. I really don't want to get rid of those. I'll get rid of these 2 blue ones. These other spells are so good. And I still have 2 whites, 2 greens, and a red, so I have options to get to a location specifically that I really want to still. So that's my turn. Next turn is the solo, the AI. I'm going to take the AI piece. We're going to move it from ceremony to yellow, which is the other worlds. I'm sorry, it is not the other worlds. That's the Streets of Arkham. Oh, that stinks. So, when the investigators move to the Streets of Arkham, array occurs immediately, which does not have any. Oh, yes, that's right. Array occurs, so I don't have any investigators, so that's good. Just to note, I did not say this earlier, the other way that you get curse cards is if the AI's fate piece moves to the location of your fate piece. If that happens, you get a curse card, and then the fate piece automatically moves to the other worlds. If I'm at the other worlds, then it goes to the Streets of Arkham. So that's how that works. So that is the AI's turn. It's now my turn. Oh man, I really want. Oh, yes. Okay. So this is a bit risky because I am going to gain investigators when I do this move, but I'm also going to be able to ready the Ancient Stirring spell, which is going to let me start moving my summoning track. So I'm going to risk it for the biscuit and go ahead and do it anyway. So I'm going to play this green card to move from the library to the gathering. At the gathering, I have to place 1 cultist. Well, let's do this in order. So the first thing that happens is if there are 3 raiders there, they move to my lodge. That's step 1. Then I place my cultist and an investigator. That's step dos. Then I gain 3 from the abyss. So I'll bring them over here. Excuse me. And because I have 3 of my pieces there, and there are not, I have more than investigators, then I automatically have control of that location. That location, the gathering, location control ability is move any number of your cultists from the gathering to any other locations. So this would be my chance to really stock up on, say, something like the other worlds. Or I'm assuming that your lodge counts as a location, so if you were ever running low on if you ever run out of cultists in your lodge, then there's some penalties that happen that include elder signs, I believe, so you don't want to run out of cultists to place. I have done that in a previous game, and it really sucked because they were out and I just could not get them moved around. So I think what I'm going to do is is I'm going to just go ahead and move all 3 of these that are at the gathering to the other worlds in an attempt to really make those other worlds count for me when I get there. So that's that. Yes. So in the astral column at the gathering, there is 1 red, 1 white, 2 green, and I am on the green symbol, so that's actually 3 green. The Ancient Stirring card, which is why I moved there. It's advanced 1 on the summon track. You may sacrifice 1 of your actually, I'm not going to move. I'm going to leave 1 at the gathering. Then I'm going to play this card, ready the spell, and go ahead and cast it instead of leaving it out. It's advanced 1 on the summon track, so I'm going to go to 1, and then it says you may sacrifice 1 of your cultists at the current altar location to advance 1 more on your summon track. So I'm going to discard that out, and I'm going to use the 1 that's there. Sacrifice means it goes to the abyss, and I'm going to get to move my marker to 2. So Yig is now at 2 of 9. Awesome. Good round for me. And because I used that location's symbols, all of those symbols now get moved to the discard pile for the spell stack, and that is the end of my turn. I've already ready to spell. So now I draw back up to my hand size. I have 3, but remember, because of the Wizard's Grimoire, now my minimum hand size is 5, so I have to draw 2 more. Just 2 whites. We got Shadow Walk. At the end of your turn, you may sacrifice 1 cultist and become cursed to immediately take another turn. Yikes. And then there's Power Surge, which is until the end of your turn you control your current location. And by the way, Power Surge is actually from the expansion, and Call of the Wicked Ones is from the Beast from Beyond expansion as well. So that's my 5 cards. The AI goes next. So he is going to go to the museum. So we're going to place blue card at the Streets of Arkham, move him to the museum, place an investigator there, and that is going to be the end of his turn. And I believe that is going to be the end of this episode of Fate of the Elder Gods by Greater Than Games. Hope you guys are enjoying this. Join me next time in the next episode. We'll see how we're fair. We're doing okay. Currently we have 2 on the summoning track for our god, no elder signs. We've got a full house of cultists and unfortunately 3 investigators. But I feel pretty good. I think we're doing alright. We got a reroll as a readied spell, so if things go sideways, we do have the potential to maybe bail ourselves out or possibly get ourselves into more trouble if we really screw it up. But you'll have to come back next time to see which one I do. Thanks guys for watching. Go play more games. This is Board Game Roamer. See you on the flip side.